ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Polyhedron Collider cast, episode 37. I'm Steve Tudor.
I'm John Cage.
And I'm Andy Lewis.
Welcome along, boys.
Hello.
We're back again.
We are.
We're doing a proper podcast, a normal one.
Yeah, it's that time again.
Back on it.
Rather than doing like a best of or a look forward, this is going to be our normal ramshackle
Debauchery.
yeah. So watch our ratings plummet for this episode.
Ordeal.
It's nice. I feel more relaxed this time, more ready to just chat. It's nice to get back to the standard format.
Yeah.
Oh dear. They're going to be running away in droves, aren't they? Oh god, this is what it's actually like. Oh shit, we're not listening to that.
Well, it's nice to see John back after his bout of galloping knob rot.
It's nice to be back.
So what was wrong with you? Did you have a bit of a sniffle?
I had a big sniffle. Yeah, I was basically collapsed on the sofa for 4 days, not feeling quite human.
Isn't that just called a weekend?
Your weekend, maybe.
Yes.
It's a weekday, I think.
Stu's a software engineer who just parks his arse on the sofa, sat in his pants, and claims things are compiling.
That's not true. Well, it's mostly not true.
It's like simulation modelling, isn't it? What are you doing, Steve? You seem to be doing nothing. I'm just running a simulation. Finite element model. It's running. It's analysing.
I've got to keep checking on it all the time.
Very intensive. The computer might overheat and crash, so I'd have to restart it. And I can't do anything else because it's so intensive, it just slows to a crawl. Honest. See, you've got 12 cores in that computer. No, I'm using all of them. All of them.
So yeah, a week on the sofa and then a week feeling a bit weird. I am back to regular human status. Well,
2 weeks, wow.
As human as I get.
When you were feeling better, we've heard you've matched Andy's Isle of Skye on the Isle of Skye.
In fact, it was before I came down with it all. In fact, it's the reason that I came down with it all, is I went for a trip to Lille with my family. And they're the ones I contaged my disgusting virus from. On a train, rather. We played Game of Trains.
Awesome. But you see, the moral of this story is don't go anywhere with family. They're filthy.
Yeah, but sometimes family has significant birthdays and you feel a little bit sort of honor bound to do something for them.
From a distance, send them a card or something. That's fine.
You're all heart, aren't you, Andy?
I have no heart. It's a dried up husk.
Oh, so you did actually have one at one point?
Oh, yeah. It was stolen from me.
My imagination is just like an old tea bag in there.
Yes.
Just sort of bouncing around a little bit.
The amount of tea I drink, it probably wouldn't be too dissimilar. When you're young and your mum says, don't do that, you'll turn into, if you eat any more of that, you'll turn into a chocolate bar. Or it's like that. I've drunk too much tea. My heart is now a tea bag.
And your liver's a tiny prune.
Yes. That is actually a bottle of whiskey, not too dissimilar to the bottle of Ardbeg currently sat to my left.
Yeah. So I've also managed to play a few other games. In fact, we played some games the other day, didn't we, Steve?
We did indeed, yes. So John's played a game.
I played a game. I played several games.
Hell. Get the siren
Do
out.
we need the music?
Yes. Cue the music.
Oh, don't cue the music. God, that's annoying.
You dug yourself into this hole, John.
We played Mechs vs. Minions again, which was a lot of fun.
And I was quite surprised how little we'd actually played it in the past. I thought we played it loads, but what we'd actually done was play the same mission loads.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of against the whole idea of a legacy game?
You kind of have to finish the mission to unlock the next one. So the fact that we hadn't unlocked the next one.
You got your ass handed to you, did you?
Yes.
Several times.
Several times.
Here is your arse, again and again and again.
And the first time I'd forgotten the escalation rules, so we actually played it on super easy.
I remember that,
yeah.
Yes.
Whereas this time, we played it properly and we beat it. And then we got on to the next level and some exciting stuff happened that I won't spoil for everyone.
We opened the box.
We did open the box. We've seen the baddie.
Excellent. Is it as big as it seems?
Yes.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Excellent. And what about the baddie?
It ruined us. Oh, dear. Yeah, it ruined us.
Excellent. Speaking of ruining, I managed to play Agra last night at Tuesday Board Gaming Group.
Which one's Agra again?
Agra is a ludicrously heavy work placement game I bought just before Christmas. I treated myself because it looked really pretty. And remember Ave Roma and the nightmares that Steve still has with it.
Yes.
It makes Ave Roma look like a walk in the park.
Oh my god.
Why would you do that to yourself voluntarily?
Because it's fun.
At what point does it stop being like a fun game and start being, well, basically a job?
Work.
Like hard work. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you see, I would go into more detail, but given that it took me over an hour to just explain how to play, we're going to need an entire
my
podcast. Exactly, it's insane. And this was to the hardcore worker placement crew. This was insane. So it's going to need an entire podcast in its own right, I think.
Well, moving swiftly on then.
Indeed.
So, how long does it actually take to play, though?
3 hours.
Is that an Andy 3 hours?
No, that was genuinely, it took us 3 hours. And that was
Okay.
like, you know, the people who play Euros all the time.
And he did finish the game. He didn't just
We did
give
finish
up.
it at 11:30 at night.
Crikey.
Yeah, we started playing about 7:15.
Bloody hell.
That was obviously with
pretty
an
keen.
hour of rules.
Initial impression, then?
Um,
After playing a 4-hour game?
It's good,
But...
but it needs a reprint.
Oh, why is that?
It's too big. Physically too big.
What, as in just too much components, or the board's too big, or what?
Physical size. Everything's just too big. I'll go into
Oh,
more
okay.
detail at another time because it'll just take. I'll explain how it works and then explain where the problems are.
You need like a
Right,
travel
okay.
version.
Pretty much, yeah.
Little pegs in.
But yeah, it was hefty to say the least. Good. It works mechanically, but it needs streamlining.
Fair enough. We'll leave it at that for now then.
Yeah.
Yes.
What else have we been playing then? Andy, what have you been playing?
Well, we did mention this before Christmas in the frantic week that FFG had when they released 4 games in the space of about 8 days.
That's a good effort, that.
It was a good effort. And I saw this in Toys and Games in Worcester and sort of got on the phone to Steve and said, Steve, do you want a copy of this as well? And he says, yes. So I have been playing, and I'm not the only one, Fallout. So this is the Fallout game from FFG, not the Modifius one that we talked about last time.
Wasteland Warfare is the Modifius one.
That's the one. So this is actually Fallout the board game from FFG.
Yes, and funnily enough, me and John both played this on Saturday.
I
did.
saw. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was cool. I was convinced I was going to win, but I did not.
Yeah, it's funny like that, isn't it?
All I need is one more point.
Yes. Because I've played it now as a solo player twice. I think I've played a 2-player game and I've played a 4-player game.
So I've played solo 2 and 3. I've done.
Mm.
I've not played a 4-player game yet.
It scales weirdly, I found.
Yeah?
Because, I mean, I'll get to the basic premise of the game. Basically, it's a board game of the recent, mostly Fallout 4 computer game. But if you've played Fallout 3, like I have, and not much of Fallout 4, then you'll still get it. It's still basically the same sort of idea.
Still the same universe, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, essentially the same game, basically. You are one of 5 characters, although it's a 4-player game, weirdly. Each one has their individual perks, so you've got the actual Vault Dweller, of which the main game centres around. You've got Super Mutants, the Brotherhood of Steel, or whatever the hell they're called in the 4th one.
Still the same.
Is it?
Still the
Okay,
same.
I haven't got that far in the video game yet.
Ghoul.
The Ghoul, the sort of kind of Wastelander, and I think that's it, isn't it? That's the 5. So each one has their sort of perks, and of course it involves the special system, and you can level up by killing things. So it's a hex-based exploration game. Everyone kind of works on their own. There's not much character, in fact, there's no character interaction unless you want to trade items. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So you're out for yourself, but there's no backstabbing, there's no dicking people over.
That's not strictly true.
Okay.
There are some opportunities to like pull and push monsters and things around, depending on the characters.
Okay,
So
yeah,
it is
fair enough.
it is possible to pull, for example, a big baddie like a Deathclaw towards some poor hapless fellow adventurer.
Excellent. Okay, there are few opportunities to dick people, at least actively, anyway. You can't sort of run into a hex and shoot them, for example.
No, that's true.
In fact, you can share a space with a bad guy and, just be happily getting on with it. And essentially the idea is that it's almost incorporated legacy aspects because there's a big deck of cards, each one numbered. Depending on which scenario you choose to set up, there's a map that goes along with it. and then it tells you which cards from this deck that you need to start with. So some of these cards are quest cards, some of them are story cards, some of them are various other types of cards, and you're told where to put them and what to do. So essentially, the numbers of quests, like in the video game, grows over time, and players are free to basically choose whichever quest they want to do. Each quest usually has 2 options, one depending on which faction you wish to join, because there's 2 in the game, but they represent different things depending on the scenario. You can choose if you wish, or you get forced into deciding with one of them. And the ultimate aim of the game is to get amount of influence, isn't it, or notoriety, or whatever it is. And that's given by your agenda cards.
Big thumbs up cards.
Yes, that's it. And you go about, you complete quests, and that will give you influence or agenda, and it'll shift the balance of power with one or both of these factions. And your agenda cards will line up with one of these factions, and the scenario I've played a couple of times actually now, if one of those factions gets really far ahead of the other one, you get a shitload of points, and you basically, at that point, you'll win the game. Which is the real weirdness about it, because you don't really know who's doing well and who's doing badly until somebody just turns around after a couple of hours and goes, oh, I've won.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is really frustrating if you've been spending most of the game 1 point away and obviously in the lead, and then Steve just turns around. Oh, I've won. Have you? You've just won, have you?
Well, isn't that convenient?
Yeah, so there's agenda cards. You get dealt one at the beginning of the game, and each of it agenda card is worth 1 point on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just, if you do, because there's 2 types of quests, basically. There's the story quest, which will advance the influence of one of the factions. And then there's the kind of side quests, which give you more agenda cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can only have 4 agenda cards, but each agenda card has got a criteria on it to get extra influence points. So the most common ones are ones that say, for every point this particular this faction is above the other faction in the influence, in their track, you'll gain a victory point, or gain an influence point, sorry. But the other ones would be like, if there's only 1 tile of the board unexplored, you get 1. If there's no unexplored tiles, you get 2. If you've got 15 credits, you get 1. If you've got 20 credit caps. Sorry, not credits, caps.
Caps, yes.
Caps, of course. With little caps as well. They're little cardboard caps, which is lovely.
They are quite cool.
But those are randomly given out, and they have such a huge effect on the game. Although I like this game, I do think that victory point system is flawed.
Massively.
Because some of them are easy to get, and others, like I had in the last game we had, I had the Explore one. And I honestly thought, because we're playing with Sid as well, I honestly thought Sid had the Explore agenda as well, because Sid was running around flipping tiles over. And I was like, oh, he's obviously got that objective. Also, he was amassing cash at one point. I think he had like 15 to 20 bottle caps. So
Something ludicrous. Right. When me and Steve had like 1.
Yeah. So I immediately thought that Sid had both of these agenda cards. It ends up he had neither.
So it is, in fact, just mental.
Yeah.
Well, I think he was just assuming that it's Fallout 4, so you just, run around the map and explore the place and try and find some stuff. Accumulate as much, as many caps as he can, buy a few bits and pieces, and I've got some agenda cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was like one of them is, for instance, to get all your special experience points. Basically, it's to level up your character as much as possible. And I've got nowhere near that in most games I've played.
I was close. I only had 2 to go.
Really? I think I've got about halfway in most of mine, so I've got about 4 of them.
Yeah.
I think in a single-player game, I've got about 4, maybe 5. In the 4-player game I played, I got something like 2, maybe 3. I hardly leveled up at all. But Lloyd in our game, who ended up winning, was leveling up like nobody's business, because he had just ended up just beating the crap out of all the bad guys, which is the only way you get to level up. It's essentially you just get XP for killing things.
You do get them for the quest and the agendas as well.
Yeah.
The quest and the story goals.
Oh, yes, of course, you do
XP
for some of them,
as well, yeah.
Right. Sorry, yes, you're right.
Yeah, not all of them, though. It's I said you can either get XP, influence cards, or agenda cards, sorry, or
loot.
The quest, the story goals. And they're varied about what they are.
Yeah, it's a bit disparate in a way. You're very much at the mercy of what happens, which is kind of good and kind of bad, because a lot can happen in a single orbit of the table, even though everyone only gets 1 go. They can finish a quest and it unlocks something else, and all of a sudden your plan's fooked.
Yeah, I had that a couple of times. I spent 2 turns just wandering across the map, the length of the map, to try and get to a thing, only to get to it and find that someone else had then stuffed that plan, because Yeah, they just completed one of the other parts of that objective, and it had gone. It's like, fuck's sake, that's twice now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really like it. And I really love the branching story, because when you get the outcome of either request, so it'll say, right, if you do this bit, it'll then say, turn this card over and follow its instructions, and it'll tell you, right, unlock these cards, place them here, or mix them into one of the encounters deck. So you can go to various locations and say, right, I want to do this encounter, at which point you'll get a random encounter, and somebody else has to read it to you, so you don't know what the answer is. So you've got to make a decision, like 2 or 3 options, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, that's cool.
Although, big criticism, there aren't enough starting encounters.
Yes.
Because we started going through them right quickly, and it's eventually like, well, I've just done that one. Well, you did that encounter last time and chose that one. Well, I'm going to choose the other one this time because you got screwed.
Oh no, you get screwed through that one as well. Damn it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I thought that you started to recognise there was some that kept going back into the deck.
Yeah.
Like there's a one where you find people doing like an assault course, and once that came round, it was like, well, I know what to do now because I know that option gave everyone loot, so let's do that.
Yeah.
And it's true, as you said, as you opened up more of these story things, things got added to these decks, but you're right, it wasn't enough. Those decks could do with being 2 or 3 times bigger.
Agreed.
There's a few little frustrating things around that as well. Like there was one mission I did where I went through and I completed quite a tricky task and got nothing for it, but it unlocked a card that someone else went along to, and then they basically got all the loot that I'd exposed. It's like, why wouldn't I have looked for the loot if I'd got that far? It just seems ludicrous.
That was me, because you found the card which like pointed you towards the cache.
Yep.
And then I drew the card, next encounter, I drew the card which said, you found the cache based on the instructions. It's like, well, I didn't have those instructions. Oh well, never mind.
Harsh. On the other hand, I did then get to explore vaults 84 and 92.
Yes,
Ooh.
and no one could actually get to the vault quick enough. You burnt through the deck.
Yep.
So this extra deck of event cards comes out then for the vault.
Mm.
And we couldn't actually get to it because it was like the opposite end of the map again. So
Yep.
John's just burning through that, just
Earning XP.
Yes, yeah. No, we managed to open, I think it was Vault 85. And yeah, Luke did the same thing. He basically just started wandering around. But he got halfway through that vault deck and just got, screw it, I'm bored now, and just buggered off.
I find it a bit weird though, because it almost feels as if the designers assume that you're going to go around in a group.
Really?
Because like the vault we opened, I don't want to spoil it in case someone plays it, because most of this thing is you want to come to this fresh with no knowledge about what these cards are really. But there was a heavily implication that all the players would be on this spot.
Oh, really? Because there was... Okay.
We don't have to be here, because at this point we had, I think, 3 or 4 cards out of things we could do. The story cards, the quests and story agendas.
Right.
So 4 people could be at 4 different corners of the board just doing these different things.
Yeah.
But it was written, the card was written as if all of us were in the same place.
Oh, that's strange.
It was really weird, and I felt like the designers had kind of intended it this way. Because there's a few other times where you kind of think, well, like the one we said, where somebody finds the directions to a cache, and then another player ends up finding the cache based on those directions. There's it's almost like either it's a solo game, which multiplayer has been added to, but then again, the whole victory point system is based on it being a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
But it's weird.
Yeah, because, I mean, the way most of it's written, you kind of assume that everyone's kind of out for themselves.
You're still out for yourselves in that you're trying to push the agendas you want or the quests you want. It was just the wording assumed that you were all like, you go to this vault. It was written as if all the players were at the vault at the same time.
Yeah, and like you'd be sort of vying for the same resources within that vault to try and gain an edge over the other people. But when it was just me, it was like, well, I'm obviously going to get whatever
Merry
the reward is at the end of this.
Christmas!
Yeah, assuming I don't screw it up on the way.
There was another deck of cards. I think there was a fault. I haven't checked since, but I think one of the cards must have a misprint on it, because you revealed another location, like another deck of cards, but only 2 cards came out.
Oh, really?
And they got cut in a loop between the 2 cards. It's like, put this back in the deck. Well, the deck was 2 cards, so you do is draw the other card, which brought the other card out, which brought that one out. And it's like, I had to keep going back and go, I have read that right, haven't I?
Oh, that's not good. Oh, dear.
So it's not without its flaws, but it was an awful lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, isn't it? I think we've all just criticised it for the last 10 minutes, but I think we all enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I loved it. I think it's brilliant. I really love the branching story idea because it makes me want to plough through it and play it again to see what else happens and see how far I can get. And a good thing is, and I'm sure FFG are all over this already, is that it is clearly really wide open and obviously modular for lots and lots of expansions.
Yeah.
Because all you need to do is add a small deck of cards, a few agenda cards, and a few hexes, and all of a sudden, 2 or 3 more scenarios. Job done. There's another 30 quid for FFG, which I will clearly be suckered into buying.
I think they sat down like, right, how can we really get Andy good this time? What's he really going to fall for? He won't be able to resist buying, I've got it, guys, Fallout, this'll do it.
Yep, win. So now it's Fallout and Mansions of Madness I'm buying. Hooray!
But you're right, though. You can really see how they can add on the expansions for this, and I do actually think it needs an expansion. I think, as you said, that the basic location cards need padding out a bit more. It's the same with it's very similar to Eldritch Horror when that first came out. There wasn't many location cards, so you tend to get the same location cards coming up and over and over again. But they, we know what FFG are like with Eldritch Horror. There was just card upon card upon card. Each deck's now 2 inches thick.
Yes. But I did like the exploration mechanic. I did like the shop mechanic, kind of. I did like the way the bad guys are activated not all at once, so they don't all just gang up on you. So you just kind of go round, and if you killed something, another one respawned, but it doesn't respawn activated. It's kind of just there.
That was quite nice, yeah.
So you don't get beaten.
I also like the way combat and tests were done, because it was quite a clever implementation of VATS.
Yes.
With the dice, because what you had to do is that the dice have little body outlines and different body parts, and then you have to match the body parts of the creature you're shooting.
Yes. So it's like its weak spot.
I thought was quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's quite good, although it was brutal in some cases. Like, you'll take on, representative, you take on a super mutant, you have to hit it in the head, for example, and there's only one instance of that, and every head shot, essentially die roll, also had 2 kind of success areas, basically 2 stars, but every hit, that basically meant that the bad guy hit you for every star that you got. And for every star, you lose a number of hit points for the level of the bad guy. So you kill a super mutant, you're getting the shit kicked out of you.
Yeah, it comes at a price. I really like that mechanic. It works really well.
Yeah. Again, it's another FFG thematic game. It feels good. It looks good. It's like playing the video game. Mechanically, not quite as sound as it probably should be, but it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Quite long as well. Which,
surprisingly long, actually.
Falls into that kind of FFG Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror kind of gameplay where it's you're looking at 3 hours easily. For this game.
Yeah. Took us a long time for the 4-player game, and also weirdly, the mechanic where basically to determine which bad guys activate, obviously you turn over the top card in the agenda deck. And you activate the ones that start the symbols at the bottom, which works quite well. And when you burn through the agenda deck, you pass it on, so they become the next first player.
Yeah.
For the single player game, you really burn through that deck really quickly. For our 4-player game, we played for 3 hours. We got through that deck once.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it scales the number of cards.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, you have more cards. It depends on the number of players. Yeah. Because we didn't get to the end of the deck. We actually had an outright winner on the game we played before we got to the end of anywhere near the end of that deck,
really?
Actually.
Okay.
Bastard.
Well, I managed to do it with 3 cards. So, because a 3-player game, you only need 9 points. And I managed to do it with 3 cards. I got 3 points on each card.
Yeah. You need 8 in a full
So
game.
annoying. I had 4 cards. 2 of them were for the faction thing, so I was backing both sides, essentially. Which was and I did think about replacing that at one point. I wish I had, because that would have won me the game. I also had one that I had to have at least 3 points of armor, gave me 2 extra thumbs up. And a final one I picked up was I had to have at least 3 drugs cards, which is really hard to get hold of.
Yes.
Drugs are hard to find.
Lloyd in our game found Jet. He was basically just running around the wasteland, hopping up all the time. How he did become an addict, I do not know. Every role he managed to succeed. Git.
Nice.
I was hoping to basically turn him into a smack addict, but he managed to avoid it. But yeah, we only got through that deck once, and it was only like 2 cards into the kind of the second burn through, and our game finished, which was surprising considering I got through about 2.5 decks the first time I played it in a single player game.
With more players, you go through the story quicker, though.
You do, yes.
Because if you think you play it with less players, you've actually got to trump your way across the board and get to that next location. But as I said, what happens was you tend to find, because you're scattered to the 9 vectors, someone will just kind of go, oh, right, I'm standing right next to the next story goal.
Yeah.
Plunk.
Yes. I guess it balances that way, but yeah, it was just odd. I thought we'd get through that deck a little quicker, or you go through it slower in a 1-player game, but it's odd. But yeah, I mean, it worked. You know, it wasn't a problem. It just seemed a bit weird.
Yeah.
And then again, the game just goes, oh, I've won, done. That's it. Oh, okay. And it doesn't like end the round. It just stops. That's it. End of game.
Yes.
Yeah. It's slightly anticlimactic.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you can get to the point without actually finishing the story.
Yeah.
So the actual story you've been playing through, you don't get to the end of the story and then work out who's won. It's like, no, I've won. Trying again not to spoil anything, but we were just about to have an all-out war on the board with things being spawned everywhere, and everyone's going, and I was like, I've won. Oh, so what do we do? Do we all just go, bye then, and just leave the wastelands and let them all do what they want?
Yeah, that happened to us. I was gearing up for basically a huge faction win. I'm thinking, yes, one more couple more faction cards come out. This bad guy activates and brilliant. I've got a shitload of points. Lloyd just turns around and goes, oh, I think I've won. What? No, you haven't. Piss off, Lloyd.
You can't have.
No.
I wasn't done winning yet.
Oh, you swine. So yeah, same thing here. God damn it. Oh, well.
Yeah. But that kind of competitive side of it, I think that's one of the things that makes it so entertaining.
Yes. It was very much fun. It was a good game. I did enjoy it. Not without its flaws, but definitely fun.
Yes.
Although I'm still umming and ahhing about its RRP at 60 quid.
It
doesn't surprise me because it's the
Yeah.
standard FFG 50 to 60 quid price bracket. And the miniatures are very nice, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, component quality is pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, all the card stock's really nice and thick as well. Those bottle caps are nice, thick, chunky tokens.
Yes. So, and you're getting what you pay for, but I think it's still a bit on the pricey
I
side.
think, well, that's it now. I think you keep on saying that, but
Well, as a
that's
comparison,
what games cost now.
As a comparison,
Yeah.
at the same time, I got Civilization New Dawn.
Yeah.
I won't go into how it plays or anything, mostly because I haven't played it yet. I've learned it. But that's 50 quid RRP,
Yeah.
and there's a similar amount of stuff in it.
But with less miniatures, without the miniatures?
It doesn't have like miniatures, but it has lots and lots and lots of plastic components.
Yeah, they might be cheaper. From what I've seen in the pictures, I think they're going to be cheaper plastic components to make.
Oh, I'm sure they almost
There's a
certainly are,
difference.
yes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come with some expensive IP.
Well, it's still an IP Civilization.
Yeah,
though.
Sid Meier's a big and longer running IP as well. So, I don't know. I'd say they were compared to what's in the box, I'd say there's a comparable amount.
Okay.
But, I don't know. Maybe Fallout's worth slightly more. But anyway, as you say, I mean, we know board games are pricey these days, so...
We just need to get over it.
Yes.
All right. Well, that was Fallout.
Mm.
Steve.
One thing I did play a few weeks back, which was probably the most mental game I've played in a long time. That's a game called Kitchen Rush.
Okay.
Sounds so
Right.
shit.
And this game is exactly what the name says. You are in a kitchen.
With Ian Rush.
That doesn't have Alan Partridge, that does. You are playing chefs in a kitchen, and you have to cook food
As
to
you do.
order. Okay. So this is a worker placement game.
Ooh, hello.
Well, wait for it. Okay. So worker placement game where your worker placement spots are spots in the kitchen, like going to the pass to go pick up an order, going to the storeroom to pick up ingredients, going to the spice rack to go get spices and seasonings, and going to the ovens and hobs to actually cook things.
Okay.
Oh, going to the dishwasher to get to wash plates, then going to the drying rack to get clean plates.
doesn't sound like it ought to be fun somehow.
Right. I haven't told you the major thing here. It's timed.
What?
So each service is so many minutes. And I think it's 4 minutes. There were 3 or 4 minutes. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Jeez.
Okay.
And your workers are egg timers. Sun timers.
Oh, man, that's
so
awesome.
when you place your worker down on a spot, you turn it over and you can't move it until the sun timer's run out.
Right.
Are they all different lengths of time?
Well, they're not supposed to be, I don't think, but of course you're going to have some manufacturing variability.
Yeah.
Also, you're working as a team. It's a cooperative game.
Oh, right.
Right, okay.
So you're trying to get as many orders as possible. But the other thing that's a major problem, whoever is managing this restaurant is obviously rubbish because you run out of ingredients halfway through. And so someone has to go to like the office to go place an order for some ingredients to be ordered. And the other thing is, it's really a bit weird, is that all the ingredients, like different types of vegetables, I can't remember what they are, I know carrots are one, different types of meat and fish, but spices are in a bag, so you don't know what spices are in the bag until you've taken the action to go get spices.
Right.
So it's things like, whenever someone's getting spices out of the bag, it's like, what's left in there? What's left in there? Oh, there's some herbs and some pepper. We need salt! We need salt!
It's just got this image in my head now of a chef blindly going to a fridge, rummaging through with his eyes closed and going, that'll do, and running out again. Right, what can we make with a cabbage? Soup!
No, it's more like what happens is the orders come in. It's like, right, we need to make beef bourguignon. We haven't got any beef. Why did you take the order for beef bourguignon when you can see we haven't got any beef? I don't know. It's worth lots of points.
Slap.
It sounds like Captain Sonos meets a kitchen.
Yes. And the other thing is as well, there's a limited amount of hobs in the kitchen. So you can be prepping. I've got my plates ready. I've got my ingredients ready. I've got my seasoning. Oh, you're using all the hobs. Well, of course I'm using the hobs. I've got like a 3-dish order. I've got starters, mains and desserts. Yeah, but I need to cut. I did a really complex dish here. It needs 6 stages on the hob. Well, tough. You're going to have to wait now.
That's
But it's
mad.
quite clever. It is. All the dishes are different, so they're real dishes, and so the complexity is leveled. Of course, the more complex, the more ingredients a dish needs, the more points it's worth, of course. And we played it on easy, and we played 2 games in a row, and we lost abysmally on easy. Because you've got to do a certain number of dishes, you've got to make a certain amount of cash, and you've got to get a certain amount of reputation.
Right.
Get yourself a Michelin star.
Yeah, so dishes are worth certain amounts of cash and certain amounts of reputation. So it's not just a case of blindly taking the easy dishes to meet your dish quota. You need to take orders which have got all these different requirements as well.
Interesting. It sounds remarkably reminiscent, well, a little bit like Cavern Tavern in a way,
Yeah, but
more frantic.
imagine it's cooperative, so you're working together, but because you've got that timed element, it's frantic, especially when you've got the clock and you're running down. You think, right, we've got 30 seconds, we've got 30 seconds. Come on, carrots, cook.
That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
It does sound fun. Is this off the shelf or is it a prototype? Or
It was a Kickstarted game. It was Adam's copy, so Adam had backed it on Kickstarter. So
Okay.
the first 15 to 20 minutes was sorting out what was Kickstarter expansions and what was the base game. It's like, we don't need that. That's that. Okay. Restaurant Critics, they're an expansion. Let's put them in the box out of the way, so we don't need them.
Oh, good lord!
So I think it was also released at Essen, so I think it's going to be in retail as well.
Oh, brilliant!
Okay.
I mean, I don't know why I'm saying that.
I thought you were now very poor.
I am very poor, especially as the U-Boot Kickstarter has just added something like 30 quid for really pretty submarine interior furniture.
Submarine furniture.
Well, it's things like the radar deck, the sonar deck, and the pipes and the missile tubes and stuff. It's not like, a 3-piece suite and a few scatter cushions,
A really nice chaise lounge.
Yes, exactly. And the captain lounging there in the in his quarters. No. It does look lovely though, but and because I'm weak, I'm probably going to increase my pledge, but we'll see.
Of course.
Of course.
That was Kitchen Rush we were talking about. I really enjoyed it. It's silly fun. There was enough there with the Kickstarter stuff, and I don't know how much that is coming out as other expansions that you can purchase. But got the impression if you mixed all that in, there was loads of permutations, a load of options you could try. So, Kitchen Rush, frantic fun.
Sounds good. What have you been doing then, Mr. Cage?
You played quite a lot of games recently. One that's caught my eye is something called Ethnos.
I
really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I really like this game.
Yeah, you're disgustingly good at it too.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the fact that I seem to have absolutely spanked everyone every time I played it.
Yeah, I don't want to play it again.
It's a bit of a weird game, actually. It's sort of a kind of a combination of playing tricks, card tricks, and area control, which sounds like a peculiar combination, I think.
It is a little, but it works, mostly.
Yeah. You got a board, and it's got a load of areas, and it's got like a points track around the outside. So everyone starts off on 0 on the points track, and you've basically got to collect cards and play tricks of those cards to score points immediately. And there's 3 rounds, and every round there's an opportunity to add more tokens onto these little areas. And at the end of the round, whoever's controlling it gets varying levels of points. But then those points go up as the rounds go on. So one that in the first round might not be worth anything, might be worth, say, 4 victory points in the next round, and then 10 points ultimately. So you're kind of playing off whether you want to invest in it now for basically no rewards, so that you've got enough counters on there when things get a bit trickier later on.
Yeah, because they don't remove, they just stay there. And you've got to play bigger and bigger tricks in order to further influence the same area.
That's it. So to place a token, you have to play a trick of cards that has a greater number of cards than there are tokens, and not just one person's tokens, but collectively all the tokens for everyone that's put something down in that area.
It gets very expensive very quickly.
It does, yeah. And to do the tricks, you're basically either matching races. Is it the races are tied to the colours? I can't remember. Or is it the names?
No.
Class.
It's this races and location.
That's right, yeah. You're either matching one or the other, basically. And each of the races, they've each got like a special ability. So they might do things like...
Keep cards in your hand or...
That's right, yeah. Or allow you to play like another hand straight away, whereas otherwise you have to give away all the cards. That's the thing. Every time you play one of these sets normally, you then have to put all the other cards face up, and all the other players can then pick from those or the deck that's coming out. Just constantly balancing that whole, do I pick that stuff up in the middle that's open for everyone, purely because I've got a feeling that Steve's collecting that thing. And I need to make sure that because he's getting a reasonable number of cards. You've got like a hand limit of 9, I think it is.
10 it is.
10, yeah.
10, and once you've got to 10 cards, you have to play a hand on the next round.
That's right.
No matter what. And it's nearly every game I've played, it's got that beautiful point where everyone's on like 9 cards. It's like, well, I could play this small trick, but no, I need one more card to make an amazing trick. And they all pull that 10th card and go, bugger.
Shit. In fact, I distinctly remember Mr. Cage doing that for about 6 rounds running. Come on, card. Shit. Come on, card. Shit.
Yeah, I need to work on my poker face. How many cards have you got, John? 9. It's okay. This next one's going to sort me out. Come on, card. Shit.
What I really like about this game as well is it accelerates.
Yes.
And it accelerates in a way you didn't think it would. So the first round, of course, as you said, to put tokens down, you're putting down tricks of 2 or 3 cards. But by the end of the game, especially when we're playing like a 6-player game, which is what this can play up to 6, which is quite nice. You need like tricks of like 8 or 9 cards in order to start changing the influence in the sector. And there's some sectors where you just go, right, I can't do that now. I can't get anywhere near that one.
Yeah.
So what was at the beginning of the game was lots of people playing these tricks and it the board changing. By the time you get to this 3rd round, it's like everyone's just collecting cards to try and get this one big set, and then just having to just play whatever they've got after they've got 10 cards and hope it helps.
Yeah. That's the other point. So there's 3 dragon cards. So in the bottom half of the deck, there's the dragon cards. And when all 3 come out, that's it. That's the end of the round. So there's like this unknown variability as to how long each one's gonna last. So once you get to like half the deck, everyone's kind of like watching like, well, it's okay because there's no dragons yet. So I can carry on collecting these cards. You know, I've got 4 or 5, just need a couple more good ones and then I'm going to be sorted. I'm going to score big this time. And then someone will be like, "Oh, I got another dragon." Okay, and you're like, "Okay, well, there's one dragon out. It's still 2 to go." Someone else will pull a dragon. And you're like, "Crikey, okay, so there's only that many cards left, and I need another card. Screw it. I'm gonna put a trick of 2 down, so I've at least scored some points."
And you pull a card out. Not a dragon.
God damn it! Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
you enjoyed it.
I did.
I'm right in thinking, Steve, you had a few expansions for it.
No, there's a promo out for it which I need to get, but it feels like there's expansions because there's more races than you can play in a single game.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I think is it twice as many races as you can play? So basically, every game will be different because you randomize the races you can choose from, which are basically the suits for these tricks. Basically, as you said, each of the races you pick has a different special rule. And some of them actually add extra boards which do different things.
yeah,
really?
that's exactly what I was going to say. So you got like the merfolk, I think they are, like the creatures of the sea. And every time you get to a certain level every time you play a hand of theirs, you go up on their little track. And each time you get to a certain level on it, you get like bonus things, like you get an extra counter that you can put down anywhere on the board, which can be later on in the game. That can be like a real game changer if it means that it saves you having to try and get a hand of like 7 of a particular race or whatever. So yeah, I like the fact that the boards add a bit of variety, and like you say, you've got more races than you can play in one game. So every time you end up with a bit of a different interaction between the cards.
So there's a promo for another race, but I don't know if they're going to do an expansion. This has been a bit of a surprise hit. This one, I mean, it's definitely been a hit with us, but this is a CMON game.
Really?
But it's so different to the rest of their gaming catalogue, yeah.
It's not dudes on a map, it's circles on a map.
Yeah.
I love it. Really like it.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with this. And one of those games I'm dead chuffed I've got, it's going to remain in the collection kind of game,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it
Nice
to come
one.
back into stock on Chaos Cards at the moment.
How much was it, just out of interest? I guess about 40 quid.
Yeah, about 40 quid. To be fair, this and Clank, I'd been watching the prices like a hawk. And I had regretted that Clank and Great Western Trail, which I still haven't played or bought, but I was watching all 3 of these on like Amazon and a couple of other places, and they all suddenly shot up in price by £10 to £15. And I don't think actually Great Western Trail hasn't dropped down to that price again since.
Jeez, really? Wow.
But both Clank and Ethnos were both, I can't remember which website I bought them from now, it might have been GameSeek, suddenly dropped to the prices they were like 4 weeks earlier. And I went, buy.
He's on the phone. Buy.
What do you think's pushing it up?
Demand, probably.
No, I think it wasn't just these games. It was just I was watching these games. You said you think Fallout felt a bit pricey at 60 quid. I think it was around about November time. I think there was a sudden uplift in board game prices across the board.
I think you're. Haha, see what you did there.
Oh, dear.
Someone give him his coat.
So there was about 10 quid seemed to get added onto the price of every single board game in 1 week. It was really weird. Games, I'm not kidding, I really wish I bought Great Western Trail was like 35 quid for weeks on Amazon. I kept thinking, oh, shall I buy it? I haven't seen it cheaper than 45 quid for ages.
Oh.
It was almost like actually it was just before Thanksgiving, so it was just before the Black Friday sales.
Oh, right, okay.
Or not that we really get much Black Friday sales in this country, but especially they seem to be waning out.
In Amazon, it's usually the shit we haven't flogged for the last 6 months, so we're trying to clear our warehouse. Please buy this crap sort of sale.
But it was weird how it was like a week before Black Friday. Everything just jumped up and has remained there more or less since.
Well,
That's
you
weird,
say
isn't
that.
it?
I have just literally gone to Amazon.
Yeah.
Plan B Games, Great Western Trail, on Prime, £33.78.
Oh, you bastard.
That's
At a point when I can't buy board games. You swine.
Oh, where's that one click button? I really
Danger.
shouldn't. Danger, Will Robinson.
Oh God, you're right. It isn't it?
Is
It's
this Andy live on the
This
podcast?
is live
giving
purchasing with Andy. Toothful. Herd your cattle from Texas to Kansas City across the Wild West. Jesus, that sounds dull.
I've heard lots of good things about it. Now,
Yeah.
this is the one I don't trust. I've just got off Amazon as well. Terraforming Mars, £121.
Bloody hell. I saw it the other day for 53 and thought, it's still not worth more than 40.
Yeah, it's 53. Anyway, yeah, so that's Ethnos. I think we were quite chuffed with that, weren't we, all of us?
Yes. I quite enjoyed it.
Right, let's get some questions.
Ooh.
Of course, if you want to ask questions, we usually do a call out, which we didn't do this week, actually. We usually do a call out on Twitter. If not, you can send us an email. You can go on Twitter. You can go on Facebook or what have you, and basically just bombard us with your nonsense. And we will gladly answer it and read it out on the show.
Indeed,
try
because it gives
to,
us
at
something
least.
to do and keeps us off the streets.
So let's have a look in the bag. Andrew Mason asks, are there any games you want to try but haven't had the chance?
Thousands.
Loads.
Most.
Yeah. I would actually like to say Dice Hospital. I mean, I've backed it, obviously, but it was at Expo, and I really wanted to sit down with Cesar and play it, but I didn't get the chance because the place was mobbed.
Yeah, there's loads, actually, I'd really love to play. I would actually like to play Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I see, I've got it.
Yeah, I know you've got it.
It's quite good.
I've never played it because it takes an entire day
To
to
set
play,
up.
and I don't seem to
Set up.
and I just don't seem to have got around to playing it. What else has struck my mind that I've played? To be fair, it's getting less and less. We mentioned earlier Great Western Trail.
Yeah.
I would like to play.
Totally
One game,
fine, though.
actually, that a few weeks ago I really wanted to play, and I actually owned it for about a year. It was me and John played Infinity at the weekend.
Yep.
So Infinity is a skirmish miniatures game, and I've been wanting to play this for absolute ages. I played like a demo game years ago, just a very, very basic game, and I loved the concept of it because it's basically if you played the recent XCOM games, so the Firaxis XCOM games
On the computer.
the tactical combat, the
The
tactical combat in that is basically what Infinity is.
Ah, yes. Oh, very nice.
So you're moving troops in an urban environment with lots of cover, and you're shooting around corners, and you've got basically permanent Overwatch. So at the weekend I've got Operation Ice Storm, which is one of the starter sets, which what it does is it slowly introduces the rules to you.
My
'cause there's
fingers just slipped.
a lot of rules.
What have you just
What
bought?
have you just bought?
Great Western Trail.
Well,
I
you just
knew-
saved me 35 quid.
I knew he'd do it.
maybe I'll charge you like to play time or something. Sorry, I interrupted. I do apologise.
You know what really worries me about
So-
your acquisition disorder, Andy, is it seems to be catching.
Yes. See,
'Cause-
it is. It's contagious. It's like
'Cause we
galloping
played-
knobrot.
So we played like 2 games of Infinity, and Steve was like, we should definitely get this to the table some more. And I'm like, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I've since found myself buying like 90 quid's worth of paints to paint miniatures and a starter army for this game that I've played twice
Good
now.
man. You see, that's how you do it. Do it properly. Go big or go home.
I couldn't help myself. I'm like, I just want to go and play this game again, but I really want an army that I can call my own.
So what did you go for?
They're called, I want to say Athul. God, I can't remember what they're called now.
What's the gist of them? Because I can't remember the names of them at the moment.
They're AI, basically.
Oh, they're the ones with the robots.
Oh, God.
Or have they got loads of robots? Have they?
There's several factions that are, that's one of the difficult things, actually, I'd say, with starting off in this game, is it's really hard to work out how you start. Like, what should you buy as like a basic intro to the game? I think your
All
starter
of the
set's
miniatures.
pretty... Well, that is one option. That's the Andy approach.
It's surefire, and that means you've got the best selection.
Was it Aleph?
Aleph?
Alephi?
No, I don't think that was it. Aleph. There we go. It was Aleph.
All the games that we've not played but haven't had a chance. Oh, God, I don't know.
Charterstone.
Oh, yeah. I have to say it's very good.
You guys have played it. I haven't. I'm jealous.
Well, I have a recharge pack, John.
Ooh.
Which I bought before I even started the original box.
I need to buy a recharge pack actually because we played this over Christmas. I bought this just before Christmas, and we played about 6 games. And I feel as if I want to start again now.
Yeah,
Right.
you definitely should with 6 players.
Well, let me
Yeah,
help
I
you
think so
out.
as well.
Yeah, I've got 2 concurrent games going now. I've got a 2-player with Alora, and I've got a 6-player on our Tuesday night, and it is so much better with 6.
That doesn't surprise me actually playing it 2-player because I played 2-player with Amanda, and I feel as if I'm missing something.
It might be worth introducing a couple of automas to it. I don't know.
No, we tried Automa and we both hated it.
Really? Okay, fair enough. That answers
Yeah,
that then.
because it felt artificial.
Well, yeah.
I know that's kind
Artificial
of the point.
intelligence. You know, there's a key word there, Steve.
Yeah, no, but it didn't. Right, the Automa is basically a mock player.
Yeah.
So it's a randomised mock player that you draw a card that says what it's going to do.
Right.
Now, number one, that meant it was completely random.
So it's like playing with me.
No, there is at least some logic behind your decisions, but we thought it was just too random because you were choosing where you wanted to go based on what you thought other people might do.
Right, okay.
Whereas the Automa is just completely random. It's just like, oh, it's going to go there, it's going to go there, it's going to go there. So it spoils your decisions in illogical ways, basically.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
That
yeah,
makes
sure.
sense.
It's not
I
predictable.
don't want to go into why. There's a particular reason why, but I don't want to say too much because Charterstone is a game that expands its mechanics as you play.
Yeah.
So if you explain what happened that annoyed us, that would spoil, I think, Game 4 a little bit.
Well, let's leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. We will touch on Charterstone again because I want to finish the campaign, and I said I'd like to try it again with 6 players just to see how different it is.
It's very good.
So Andrew Mason also asks, how many games you played more than 10 times in the last year?
The last year, Jesus, ask me how many games I've played more than 10 times full stop. Oh my God.
Now, this is a thing, isn't it? Have you ever heard of the 10 by 10 challenge?
Yes.
Yeah.
It seems foolish.
So these are the concept of this is that we're too absorbed with the cult of the new, and there's too many shiny things that we play once or twice and then ignore. So the idea of the 10 by 10 challenge is you pick 10 games that you try and play 10 times in the coming 12 months.
You get full value from it.
Yeah, to make sure you're getting the full value for it and you're getting the best. You know, you're not just concentrating on the new shiny thing that you've just Amazon one-clicked.
But I'm really good at that.
See, I think this is a challenge that I might win.
You might, actually,
See-
yeah.
There's quite a few that I've played a lot, I think.
I looked at my stats and I only managed 9 of a single game.
Really?
Wow. See, I don't keep a record.
You probably did Charterstone, didn't you?
Actually, thinking about it, I've played Charterstone 10 times, yes. 6 times as a 2-player and 4 times as a 6-player. So, yes.
So there you go.
There we go. Wow, bloody hell.
Game of Trains, tick.
Game of Trains,
Suro.
probably, yeah. Suro, yeah.
But yeah, you can play 10 games of Suro in the time that
In an hour.
It makes it.
He was
time to make a cup of
unspecific
tea.
in his question as to what game
True.
it was. He just said
That is
10,
true.
10 times.
True.
True.
I've tried
True.
to play Twilight Imperium about 10 times, got as far as trying to set it up and then putting it back in its box. Does that count?
We've talked about
No.
playing X-Wing like at least 10 or 20 times, Steve.
True.
Yeah, and I sorted out all my X-Wing for the weekend, and we both got distracted by Infinity.
Yep.
I've played Mansions of Madness a fair few times, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah.
Probably about 4 or 5 times on my own, and at least 4 or 5 times with other people. And I've painted some of the minis, so that's opening the box. That's clearly close enough to playing it. What else have I played?
I mean, overall, I think I've played. There's certain games I've played loads of times, like X-Wing, because I do log all my plays on Board Game Geek. I'm on to like 50 games of X-Wing. I think I've played. I've played like 50 games of Doomtown, which I was quite surprised at even by myself when I saw that one.
Oh, D&D. Play that loads, in the sense that,
many-
we've
Yeah.
had more than 10 sessions.
How many Star Trek sessions have you had now?
Only about 4.
Okay.
Splendor is the game I played the most last year.
Okay.
I managed to
yeah.
get 9 games of Splendor in.
Spice
That's
Road
quite
as
quick
well.
as well.
I think it's more difficult for us as well because we get sent review games and we feel like we ought to be reviewing them. We end up playing a much wider variety than probably the average board game player might.
There is a point as well when we go, right, we've got all these games, what should we play? And we actually do say, right, we'll play that one to talk about on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we won't say, right, we're going to play this because we want to, it's usually stuff we want to play.
Yeah.
But we are making decisions about what games we're playing based on what we think would make it, or just that more of us have played it, so we can have a bit more of a discussion about it rather than just like a show and tell.
I've got one actually. What about Pandemic Legacy? Haha.
Not in the last year we haven't played 10 games.
That's true. We've probably played maybe 1.0 games.
But we intended to play 10. No, dear.
The road to hell and all
we're
that.
stuck at September.
We are. We really need to finish that. It's embarrassing now how long that's gone on for. So linked to that, I suppose, in a weird way, is we got a question from Sven Hanneman. Given the recent discovery, actually, I should before I read his question, I should congratulate him on the upcoming birth of his new child.
Congratulations, Sven.
Well done, and you can kiss some more board gaming time goodbye.
That's pretty much what he's doing. Yeah, he's sobbing. So he asks, given the recent discovery of how many or few games have been played 5 or more times, they say, looking back at the previous question, is our current metric of value for money, or plays per cash, a false economy?
Ooh.
So he also asks along the lines of, if we only play games a certain number of times, it's still cheaper than going to the cinema, but how many times does that actually fall in our favour?
Well, given how expensive it is to go to the cinema these days.
Exactly. You just buy a 40 quid game, play it twice, job done.
Well, I'll play it once if there's 2 of you going.
That's what I mean, yeah. Plus the amount of ice cream I eat when I'm there, Jesus, that makes it expensive.
Last time I went to the cinema, I bought the most ridiculously expensive ice cream you've ever seen in your life.
Brilliant.
It was like a Kilda jar of Sunday.
Good grief.
It was awesome, but it was like ice cream with...
Eat it with a trowel.
Just a funnel.
Well, it was also like you had to fill in a menu card to get this thing with those tick boxes because it had like 3 different types of topping on it, 2 different types of ice cream, and 2 types of sauce. It was just mental.
That sounds amazing.
Were they just like optional extras, and you just went through the list? You're like, yep.
No. It was like toppings. Pick 3.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
what? Pick 3 toppings.
It wasn't like the attendant just kind of looked at you like, "Are you sure you want all of that?" Oh yes.
Hell yeah, pile it on. Give me the blood sugar.
I think there's an element of that.
Are things a false economy? Probably, yeah.
Like, I think you got to measure up how much you enjoy those smaller plays versus, it's quality versus quantity, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's quantity versus quality, clearly. He says, currently expecting Lords of Hellas.
I've never done this, like, oh, if I play this game, it's worth £5 a game kind of thing.
No.
I've never really looked at it like that. My brain never makes that analogy because I find I can't compute it because I play video games, but I play video games as well, but I don't buy video games as soon as they come out. I buy them like 2 years after they've come out, where they're like £10.
Mm.
Yeah. And, you could play one of them for 20 to 40 hours, and
a lot of it's value for money. Yeah.
If I tried to compare the cost of a video game to a board games would lose every time. They'd be ridiculously expensive.
Just looking at your X-Wing collection, Steve, we did some totting up, didn't we?
That was terrifying.
There's something like £5,000 worth of X-Wing miniatures.
£5,000.
When you put it as fractions of thousands, yeah.
So you know the podcast the other month we did, and I found, which one was it? It was Star Wars, the Star Wars Legion. If you get the full lot, it was like £700, and we were like, "Oh my god, that's insane!"
It was Wasteland Warfare. It was the Fallout game from Odysseus.
Wasteland Warfare. Sorry, you're right. But like, and now it turns out Steve's almost spent that much on one single board game. So,
yep.
In my defence,
yes,
each ship's about £15.
Yeah.
And then there was a point actually when I was buying a ship every time I went to Worcester.
So your defence is basically you didn't realise how much of a problem you've got.
No, I knew exactly how much of a problem as well. I was just trying to justify it to myself. It's quite terrifying, that was, because I put them all in these couple of carry cases, and there was like a ship in each pot. It was like a toolbox, one of those ones with the subdividers. and I've got one like Rebel box and one Imperial box, and it was like, okay, so let's just say they're worth £10 each. That's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Oh god, that's 250 quid worth of miniatures in that one box.
And how many boxes have I got? 4. Shit.
I got 2 boxes, and then there was the bigger ships in the next box.
Oh god.
Yeah.
And they're worth like 25 quid each. It's like, oh my god, there's 100 quid worth of ships just in that one box.
Yeah. I went through, I actually counted up the number of board games I've got on my shelves at the moment. And it's about 110 of all shapes and sizes. Now,
It's pretty bonkers.
yeah, I know. And I know Steve's got a lot more than I do. And if you kind of take an average of, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 pound as an average price for a board game these days, that starts getting very pricey very quickly.
Did you see the app someone had written? Like just a little web app. And what it did is you had to have used Board Game Geek, so your collection had to be in Board Game Geek. And what it did is it looked at your collection, then looked at the prices that people are selling that game for secondhand in Board Game Geek.
Right.
Because Board Game Geek's got its own marketplace.
Yeah.
And then what it did is it worked out the average price to replace each one of your games on the marketplace. Because brand new games you get a little bit cheaper, but games that are out of print went up in price a bit.
Right.
Like
So this is
BSG,
the-
Of course,
Come to the insurance claim. This is how much you should.
yes, I
See-
was terrified by that price.
That
you say
reminds
the
me-
X-Wing collection was in fractions of 1,000. This wasn't fractions, this was multiples.
Wow.
Ouch!
Were you over 10 grand?
Just under.
Oh, Jesus.
Jesus.
But the reason for that was several of I didn't realise just how many of my games were out of print.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's that whole 80-20 rule. Like 20% of my game collection was worth like 800 quid or something like that. You know, it was just, not 800 quid, sorry, £8,000, because it was like, I've got a copy of Horus Heresy. I didn't realise how much Horus Heresy was worth.
Okay.
You know, people are selling that on the BGG marketplace for like $500 or $600 or something stupid like that.
Ouch. Yeah.
But it was games like that. It was the out of print games that were bumping that up. So if you wanted to replace your entire board game collection and make an exact copy, it was ridiculous. But again, it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone could reprint that game next week, and all of a sudden that entire board game collection just drops in value.
Yes.
Maybe, but not necessarily, though.
Yeah, I'm glad I got beat at BSG then. That's worth a eye-watering amount of money now.
Yeah. I hate
yes.
to mention it because you're going to take the piss, but my talisman collection is worth a surprising amount of money.
I can believe it. I mean, I'd imagine at least a few of them are probably out of print.
Some of the expansions that I paid like maybe 10, 15 quid or something for are now like 200 quid, which is insane.
So you're worth robbing then, Mr. Cage. Although that would end
No.
up with me owning Talisman, which would never happen. You're safe.
Slippery slope, slippery slope.
It's not happening. No, I mean, I do wonder what... looking at the flip side, though, I've got Dream Wars, which cost me £160, and that's probably worth about a fiver now.
Yeah, I guess it can go the other way. So yeah, I don't think we value them like that, basically.
No, we
Yeah,
don't.
no,
I mean,
we
I'm
do.
the same as Steve. I just don't look at it and go, oh, I'm going to get 10 plays out of that. Screw it. It looks nice, plays well, job done. And it'll last for the rest of my life, hopefully, without a house fire.
Or a leaky fish tank.
Yeah.
God, that'd be a nightmare. Oh my God. Actually, no, it would be okay. I'd be more concerned about the fish because some of those fish are quite pricey. But not only that is the fact that the bottom row of my Kallax is all the really old shitty games I used to have when I was about 10. So there's like 3 copies of Monopoly, an old ropey copy of Cluedo, all of the really crappy promo demo copies we've been sent. So yeah, they can drown. I don't care.
Are you saying you order your board game collection in terms of flood prevention?
It's more... I mean, I'd kind of put them in where they fit, but I've also put the more common ones kind of closer to eye level, because they're easier to reach and stuff, whereas the stuff I will probably never ever play and are generally expendable in terms of space and damage are right at the bottom, because I can't be arsed spending over, basically. It's almost fueled by laziness.
On the other hand, you've got to think about the fire risk. If a fire goes, it's more likely to be at the top of the room that it's going to come across. So actually...
TI3! No!
You need to sort them so that all the really good ones are right in the middle.
Pretty much are.
Flood risk at the
okay.
bottom, fire risk at the
Stone.
top, the good
Yeah.
ones in the middle.
Jamie's collection is basically the central 2 Kallax cubes. They're going nowhere. But that does mean actually all the Stonemaier porn, pimpy stuff, all the sexy resources, they're all at the bottom. Actually, I'm going to have to relocate them. Wow. In fact, all of this actually reminded me the other day, I need to update my contents insurance, because I sort of looked at this collection and thought that is a frightening amount of money. Because, years ago, you used to register valuable and attractive assets like tellies and laptops and stuff, whereas kind of
Bikes.
these days you don't, because they're worth, an iPhone is actually worth more than a human life these days. I kind of looked at this collection and thought, shit, I should probably do something about that, because that is not a small amount of money.
Let's go on to another question. Now, Philip James Harker doesn't really ask a question, he just basically raises a discussion topic. So he basically wants to know what our thoughts are on the recent bout of counterfeit games that are appearing.
Terrible, and something should be done. Next.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's bad. There's nothing worse than parting with your hard-earned cash only to find that the game that you've just bought, that there's something wrong with it. I guess if it was a good enough counterfeit, I didn't even know. Well, then ignorance is bliss, right?
Yes. Actually, entertainingly, I saw someone had posted one on the BGT&C forum yesterday, day before, was a side-by-side comparison of a genuine and a counterfeit version of Codenames.
That was actually a link from CGE's website.
Yes, there you go.
Mm.
And it was actually quite hilarious just how shit the counterfeit was. But I suppose if you didn't know any better, you wouldn't know, other than the spelling mistake.
The more popular the game, the more likely. Apparently, there's a load of Pandemic, Ticket to Ride, Seven Wonders apparently is one of the most counterfeited games. There's a lot of counterfeit Pandemic Legacies being found.
Is it called 8 Wonders or something?
Well, no, this is it. They match it. So it's not like these dodgy ones where it's like, Adidash or something like that. Yeah, it's
Nuke, something like that.
They're trying to make an exact carbon copy of the game if they can. But like Pandemic Legacy has apparently been counterfeited. And so people are playing the game and getting 2 games in and then finding the bits in the boxes or in the wrong boxes or something like that.
Jeez.
But they don't realise because, that one apparently seems to be quite close to the genuine one.
Right.
God, yeah, because it must be really easy to take the piss as a counterfeiter with something like that, because you can't check all the contents there because it's a legacy game.
Yeah.
You just bollocks to fill in 80% of it. We'll just cut a few boxes in there. That'll do. Put a few things in there that rattle so it sounds like there's stuff in there. A few pennies or something. And then throw it out the door. Make 60 quid. Cost you a tenner to make. Job done. Where'd you get that, Andy? Peckham Market. Looks the real deal to me.
So I opened box 30, and this one's full of little counters that replace these cubes. Oh, they look oddly like gravel.
The quality of these stone components is fantastic.
Actual stone.
Yeah. Wow, the quality of this game is amazing.
I know it's called Charterstone, but I didn't realise it would actually come with bits of slate. This is impressive.
Weirdly, Charterstone is so strangely named. I can't go into too much detail, but it's named really oddly. If you've played the game, you'll understand why.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't know.
I know what you mean.
Still need to play it. I think it's bad that the publishers who put the effort in don't get the money for the stuff that they've produced. That's probably the worst of all of it.
Well, I think the problem is as well, these are so close to the final things, a lot of these, it's going to end up being a bad rep for those publishers, because if you get a dodgy copy of Ticket to Ride or Pandemic Legacy, you're going to go, bloody hell, my copy of Pandemic Legacy had all the tokens in the wrong place. Bloody Z-Man, they've made a rubbish version of this, when in fact they had absolutely nothing to do with it. The problem with these is they're coming via Amazon.
Yeah, that's really scary.
And they're getting mixed in with Amazon stock. And I didn't realise this. The problem is that Amazon mixes its stock and its third-party stock.
Really?
Really? I was about to say, that surely says more about Amazon's quality control than anything else.
It's not their quality control, it's their stock control. So apparently, now this is what I've been led to believe, is if you order, say, a copy, say for instance, I think Zatu and Chaos Cards both sell off Amazon. Even though you've bought the game off Zatu on Amazon, you're not necessarily buying the stock which Zatu bought.
Oh right,
It's
okay.
weird,
You're
isn't
just getting the next copy off the pallet.
Oh,
And so what the problem is these third-party companies, not Zatu or Chaos Cards or anything like that we just mentioned, third-party sellers are coming in and putting a pallet in, because they've still got to supply it. You've still got to get one off the distributor and put it into Amazon stock.
Mhm.
But they're getting a pallet of dodgy rip-offs from China. It goes in, it gets mixed in with Amazon stock. And so there's no guarantee at the moment, if you buy off Amazon, whether you're going to get a legit version of a game or not.
yeah, that's a bit worrying.
I don't think, well, until Amazon sort their crap out, the only way to try and avoid this is buying from someone you know is getting it from a reputable distributor.
Yeah.
So most board game shops you go to, and most of our favourite kind of online stores like Chaos Cards, Zatu, and things
Traveling
like that.
Man.
Board Game Guru and Traveling Man, they'll get them from Asdevium. Sorry, not the Asdevium anymore, the Asmodee UK. So they'll get legit copies, but just be wary when if you're going to buy a game off Amazon, which we often do.
Yep.
Just double check it when it comes in to make sure it looks pucker.
I have a sudden urge to go downstairs and open my third copy of Century Spice Road, just to double check.
So it's got plastic coins.
I don't think anything can really be done about it either, because China pirates stuff. It's what it does.
Yes, copyright doesn't really mean anything over there.
Mark Capel Helm asks, what is your opinion on the hate campaign video by CMON? Given
Shit.
that we are not
Given that you're not averse to the odd expletive.
Yeah, do you think it was trying to sound edgy, or did it make them look silly? Now, I take it you guys have watched this video, have you?
Yeah,
I've seen
it's
it,
kind
yeah.
of, it's hilariously bad.
I thought it was funny myself. I just thought it was funny. That's
It
all
was
I have to say
funny.
about it.
It was so bad it was funny.
Yeah, I think the fact that we've got a sense of humour, I think most of us just laughed at it.
Yeah.
My favourite bit of it, which I did actually laugh out loud when they said it, it's like, and there's a lot of shit in the box. I'm like, that's your word, CMON, not mine.
Yes.
I quite like it when people are able to take the piss out of themselves a little bit. There's just a lot of
See, this
shit
is the
in
thing,
there, right?
I don't know if they were. I'm assuming they probably are slightly self-aware, but I don't know.
I think whoever made that was obviously self-aware.
Clearly, they must have been.
I think there
Yeah.
are bits of it where it is obviously a bit over the top, but like some of it was quite, as you say, was quite genuinely funny. So yeah, maybe they over-edged it, but a bit of edge, that's not bad.
I think it's slightly overdone. I can see what they're trying to achieve, but I think it was a bit overdone. But then again, you're not paying, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino to do your voice acting, so it's always going to be a bit overacted. But does it make them look silly? No, I don't think so.
And even if it does, who cares?
Yeah,
Who'd want to be serious all the time?
exactly. What I find more hilarious is the number of people that have got their pants in a bunch about it.
Yes, for the 3 days after that video came out, the entire internet, well, every single corner of the internet that talked about board games seemed to be getting really wound up about that video.
It's terrible. There shouldn't be swearing. Oh, go away and grow up. Exactly. For God's sake.
Well, we got told off to some extent before for the level of swearing in our podcast. So obviously, some people don't like that sort of thing.
Well, maybe they should just go back to the little cotton wool clouds.
Maybe.
Sympathetic Andy, they call him.
Something you will never be accused of, Andy.
Damn right. But I don't know. It's selling a game, isn't it? They've gone for an edgy and dark approach game. I mean, I'm personally not interested in the game at all. So
I actually am. I'm not going to back it because I can't afford it, but
I'm really tempted to back
actually
it.
interested to it.
Hey, do it. I mean, I'd like to see what it's like, but I've no interest in it really, in terms of backing it or following it, or because I'm not a big fan of that style of game really. So it's. If you do back it, John, I'll be interested to play it.
What
and
style
see
of
what
game
it's
would
like.
you say it is then? What is it that
Well,
puts you
it's
off
just
about
sort of a 1v1, isn't it?
Yes,
And
it's a 1v1 campaign game, so you'll play against different players, and then your stats stay from game to game, don't they?
I don't know if I'm going to play something like that, I prefer to play something like 40k.
Yeah.
That's all, because it just seems a bit limited because of just obviously the size of the board and that sort of stuff. That's all. I just think it's a bit. If I'm going to pay X £100 for a 1v1, I'd rather do something like Warhammer or 40k or Infinity or whatever, or the Star Wars miniatures thing.
Yeah,
that's fair enough.
They all look tempting.
They do. The Star Wars one does look good.
I've got to admit, I'd like to actually read the comic book on which Chronicles of Hate is based.
Which comic book is it? I did not know that.
Yeah, it's called Chronicles of Hate.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you do a search, there is like a free sample of it where it's got like the first 20 pages, and it's quite weird because it's like there's very little dialogue in it. So it's a graphic novel which is mostly just imagery.
Yeah,
right.
Mostly hate.
Well, yeah, but I'm intrigued because it seems that what the game is about is actually you're playing the villains of the comic book in the game.
Well, you're not going to play the good guys, are you? Jesus. What kind of universe is that when the good guys eat people?
Okay.
I have to say, I kind of like the style of the universe it's set in. The artistic side of things and the way it looks and stuff. But I don't know. I'm not that interested in its gameplay at all. So I shall leave that to you, Mr. Cage.
The biggest worry I have in all of it is that I love the sound of the theme of it. And it does look like it's probably going to be quite a pretty game. But a bit like you said, really, my biggest fear in backing it is that it might just turn out to be something that I play once and then go, well, it looks nice.
Yeah, there's the thing.
Well, I've got that fear at Rising Sun at the moment. Rising Sun turned up this week. And,
I saw that. They played it last
there
night.
Are so many miniatures in the
yeah. No, funnily enough, Nye turned up with it all last night. They ended up playing it while we were playing Agra, and it looks impressive. The colours from a distance looked really, really bad if you had a hangover. It's some rainbow all over the board. It's like somebody from Dulux vomited all over the table.
So it's mostly brown then?
No, it's like a whole host of pastel colours for all the different colours of miniatures and factions. I didn't pay too much attention from it, but Jesus, you could see it from across the room. It was some of them, the more they got through the game, the bigger the miniatures seemed to get. So, oh my God, they've grown. He says, no, Lloyd just turns like, no, Andy, they're just closer to you.
Very good.
But I mean, it looks very impressive. But I could hear vague conversations about factions and fighting and coins and honor and all that sort of stuff. But I don't really know any more than that. But it certainly looks very impressive and very colourful.
Well, basically, I've got a week to learn the rules because it's City of Games soon. So I think I might be bringing at least the core set along for that. Maybe not the 3 boxes of expansions.
We'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Mark has asked another question about Charterstone, but I think we've actually covered a lot of it, which was just our thoughts on Charterstone since the episode where we talked about it last.
It's freaking awesome!
I think you absolutely love it, and I want to start again with more players. I regret playing it with 2. And that's, at the moment, I've got a couple of criticisms of the game. Number 1 is I don't think some of the rules are explained well enough. Because of the second reason, which there is no going back. Now, you could argue it's a legacy game. That's kind of the point. But when we're playing Pandemic Legacy, we all knew how to play Pandemic.
Yeah, true.
We all knew what we were letting ourselves in for. Whereas you played Charterstone, and there were certain things that we didn't grasp until like game 3, and it's kind of like, oh, now I know this. I'd really like to reset the game now and start again.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I didn't have the same problem that you do, Steve, but I can say that we have, around the table in our 6-player game, discussed a few of the rules in terms of what it actually means, like clarified it.
Yes.
Or it's only in certain circumstances, but there are certain things where you're like, well, does it mean that? And we've kind of, I wouldn't say house ruled it, but we've all come to a consensus about what we think it means, and we've just gone with it.
Yes. We basically started, from the second game onwards, we played with the iPad next to me.
Yeah.
So if a rule came up, we read it through again, and said, right, let's just have a quick look on Board Game Geek, because they're all down as like, because all the rules are actually numbered. So let's check rule number 136. go check that. Right, okay, this is what, what card 136, sorry, this is what everyone agrees. This is what, Jamie Stegmaier has been on that forum like crazy over the last 3 months. Most rules questions, he has come in and said, this is the intention of the rule.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So, but we were terrified because we thought if we made a mistake in the rules, that was it. It was a game completely ruined. There's no backsies on this.
No, it's not. It's all right.
That would be frustrating if you realised, like, 5 or 6 sessions in that you'd done something really bad at the start and it changed everything.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad, but that was our fear.
I mean, here's an example. I was right. I'll just have to point this out. But halfway through one of our games, is that there was a kind of people forgot, basically, that because it's essentially a standard worker placement rule that if you do something on a spot, you pay a cost and you get the benefit.
Makes sense.
Pretty much everybody decided that could you go on a spot if you couldn't get the benefit? And I said, well, yeah, you can. You still have to pay the cost, though. Now, there are some spots that it doesn't really make sense to do that. So you just pay a cost for nothing. But in certain circumstances, in doing something like that, you'll get kind of some or all of the benefits. You can get like some of the benefit, but not all of it, for example. So we played one game where essentially there was a contention about one spot where there was one really, really, really limited and valuable item, shall we say. And there were 3 of us basically vying for it, myself included. But we all decided, right, okay, well, you wanted to do it. So Dan wanted to do it, basically. But he hadn't done it because we all really consensed that if you couldn't finish or didn't want to do the benefit bit, because it wasn't actually possible, I can't tell you any more than that without ruining the game, basically.
He was just basically doing it to deny you guys. Is that what you're saying?
No, we all wanted that. Essentially, there's an additional component that came with the first person who got to that spot. But because the benefit wasn't available, we all decided that you couldn't do the action.
Okay.
You land on the spot, you pay the cost, you'll get the additional thing that happened to be there the first time you went there. But because the benefit wasn't actually available to get anywhere on the board, we decided that you couldn't do the action. No, it turns out you can.
Right. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, you can do an action as long as you pay the cost. You can then get... There is a rule that specifically says this. We checked the rule book afterwards. So halfway through that game, we decided, well, actually, we could have done that. But for this game, we'll continue with the same interpretation of the rules so no one's disadvantaged. But next time we play, obviously, we'll play it properly.
I like the concept of it, though. I think we've lost a bit of steam, though. We played about 6 games in 4 days when we bought it.
As a 2-player?
Yeah, as a 2-player, and we haven't played it since.
Yeah, we've done the same. We've got to game 6, and we haven't actually played it. Now, to be fair, we haven't had a lot of time, but we've kind of thought, should we play Charterstone? As a 2-player.
That's a shame.
But as a 6-player, we're like, yeah, let's play it again. Let's try and beat Dan. No, we're not going to beat Dan. Dan got, last time we played, Dan got something like 85 to 90 points. The rest of us were on about 55. That's how much of a thrashing he gave us.
Blimey.
The man is insanely good at worker placement. It's inhuman.
I should play him. I'll put him in his place.
Yeah, you do that, John. You will. You'll put him in his place as master of worker placements.
Depends how much randomness there is in the game.
Almost none.
Yeah.
None.
I don't think I'll do well at that game.
The other thing, there's not really a question, but we've had this really weird email. Jay Marsh emailed in and said... Now, I'm not entirely sure if Jay is a he or a she, because I know Jays are a he's and Jays are a she's, and so I'm just going to use the third person here.
They.
Get on with it.
Jay sent us a message to say that they had a dream where they dreamt about a Polyhedron Collider, which in the dream was a kind of transporter that could transport matter vast distances. However... In the dream, this is the first time we'd ever come... In the dream was the first time we'd ever come across this term. He, she, they. And so they went on the internet and searched for Polyhedron Collider and found us.
That is weird.
We're in your heads.
But how do we get there? If they'd never even...
Magic. Pixies. Through the Polyhedron Collider. We're meta.
You're just making words up now.
No. It's not my fault you're just not cool, John. Down with the internet, kids.
Maybe when
like
this
that.
much board gaming enthusiasm comes together in such a small space, there's an explosion of information and it just gets thrown out across the internet.
Certainly.
Yeah. As ramshackle thoughts just exploded across the internet.
Yeah.
And one of them hit Jay. Sorry about that.
Poor Jay, we're so sorry.
Maybe it was exactly the same time that Roberto went to Rutherford Appleton.
That
What?
was cool. You see, Roberto, that was genius, sir.
Alberto.
Alberto, sorry, not Roberta? No, that's somebody else entirely. Roberta Williams was a designer of some really particularly shit 90s point-and-click adventure games.
Ah.
Alberto, sorry. We met him
Alberto,
at
yes.
Aircon last year, didn't we? Or was it Expo?
UK Games Expo.
Expo, that's right.
During the ice fishing championship.
That's right, yes.
This is why I don't recognise it. I wasn't there.
Of course, yeah.
No, this is posted onto the Facebook page. So Alberto went to Rutherford Appleton and went to one of the particle colliders.
Ah, yes, no, I did see this.
With two D20s?
With two D20s,
So
a red
cool.
D20 and a blue D20.
What a legend.
Here I am at the Collider, colliding polyhedrons.
Yes. He is basically now our official mascot.
Maybe it was putting the actual dice in the particle collider, which caused Jay to start having dreams about polyhedron colliders.
I think you've been watching too much Star Trek, the new one.
Not Stargate.
Discovery.
Yes. You're just making shit up now, aren't you, Tudor?
Actually, I've just binge watched Star Trek Discovery this
Are you
week.
up to date?
Oh, it's good.
I've got one more to watch.
Oh, it's a good one.
The most recent episode is the best one so
It is
far.
epic,
It's kind of obvious what's going to happen, but, I won't spoil it for you.
It's epic.
I thought the first three were kind of okay, and then from like 4 onwards,
Yeah.
I've absolutely loved it.
It's got better. I think after the season break is definitely better. I'm now, because they've basically just ignored the Blingons. It's brilliant.
Klingons. Although it's a bit confusing me because the programme I watched before that is a weird Channel 4 comedy called Toast of London.
I've seen Toast. It's brilliant. It is weird,
It's
though.
brilliant. Yeah, but Clem Fandango is the guy who's in the prison, the security officer.
What? Manny Calavera?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, hello, Stephen. This is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me? That's the security officer, and I kept watching it thinking, that's Clem Fandango. What the hell's going on here?
I clearly need to watch Toast. I have no idea.
It's on Netflix. I gotta admit, I watched a few episodes and thought to myself, I can't make up my mind if this is funny or not.
Right.
And before I knew it, I'd watched all 3 series.
Wow.
It's
Okay. That's kind of the sign of a good show, I think.
Yeah, I think one of the writers of Father Ted co-writes it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
So it's the one that didn't co-write IT Crowd,
Yeah.
or didn't write IT Crowd, because didn't they split after Father Ted? So it's similar kind of, and the lead actor is the manager from IT Crowd as well.
Okay, sure. Yes, he is. It's Wenham Jr., isn't it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Renham.
Renham.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not Wenham. Wenham's the surname
But
of
yeah,
a
there's-
chap I used to work with in Bristol.
Anyway, we're going down another rabbit hole. So,
Speaking of rabbit holes, have you seen
God.
on Netflix? Just speaking of weird programs, have you seen Black Mirror?
Yes.
Not yet. No, everyone keeps telling me
It's
to watch it.
so odd. I've only seen the first episode of it, and oh my god, it's good, but it's bloody weird.
It is weird. If you want something even weirder than that, though, Dirk Gently.
Yes.
I didn't like it.
It's so good.
It's not. It was shit.
What-
It's so
What's
weird.
the second series like?
It's good. Yeah, it's really good. I really liked it.
We gave up on it.
I've got a particularly strange mind, so
That is,
Yes, that
is
is
an
true.
understatement.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, speaking of Netflix as well, Altered Carbon starts.
That looks
This
awesome.
week.
Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I've seen adverts for that.
I read the book about 6 months ago, and I've got to admit, I thought the book, kept reading the book, I was thinking, this would make a great TV programme.
You're some kind of sorcerer, Mr. Tudor.
So, I think it's time to draw it to a close.
To be fair, it was about time to draw it to a close about half an hour ago.
Well, yeah, true. Thank you very, very much for listening. We have been Polyhedron Collider. If you have enjoyed this show, which hopefully you have,
And why wouldn't you have done?
then we'd much appreciate it if you could pop over to iTunes or your other podcasting server of choice and give us a review. We much appreciate some feedback, and of course, those juicy 5 stars if you're feeling particularly generous.
1 star if you're being realistic.
Yes, true.
Don't put ideas in their heads. We've proven that we can do that now, even if they're not even listening to the podcast. So everyone who's not listening to the podcast, if you could just whack 5 stars on this random thing you never heard of, you crack on.
Yes.
Right, Alberto, go on, throw the next dice into the collider.
Do it!
We are all available on Twitter. There is a Polyhedron Collider Twitter group, which is Polyhedron C. But our personal ones, I'm available at Wahoff and Wadenga.
If you
Which
can
is
spell
really
it.
easy to spell.
How do you spell it, Steve?
WAHOFFELMADENGA.
Well,
Just how you
Obviously,
say
it rolls off the
Wahoff
tongue. Yeah.
Wadenga.
Yes. It flows like a river of bricks.
I'm somewhat more simply John at John_Cage. That's JON, not with an H.
Not with an H, no.
No.
And I'm at Sonic H, but with a 0, not an O, because I'm a nerd.
He's leet.
I am leet, yes.
No, he's not. He's 1337.
Yeah. We also have a guild, don't we, Steve?
We do. We have a Facebook guild. We have a Facebook page, and we're on a Board Game Geek Guild 2726. But you can get to it from polyhedroncollider.com and click on the forum link.
There you go.
We have a forum?
Yeah, and the fact that you don't even know about it is one of the many reasons that there are so few posts in it.
I know we have a forum, it's all right.
I just don't like to go there.
We shall see you in a few weeks. We shall be talking about more juicy gaming goodness.
Mm.
But for now, bye.
Tra!
Catch you later.